Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Three Idiots Talk Aquariums podcast. Hope you all have been enjoying our previous episodes that we've been doing. Love to hear your feedback on them, if you've got any episode ideas or that. And we appreciate the support with like all the likes and subscribes and all that. Goes a long way. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much my little thank you. So we'll start it off as always by, I guess, going around the circle and discussing what sort of things have been going on, any interesting updates from around our fish rooms and that. So I don't know if you want to start, Cam, and any interesting news you've had go on.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm not sure if it's interesting news, but my Brichardi look like they've paired up.
Oh, nice.
Pretty almost certain that they've paired up. And I'm almost pretty certain that my gold heads have paired up as well. Neither are killing each other. Both of them are quite content sitting as pairs beside each other, so they're doing that. I just haven't given them any.
It's a good start.
Any spawning media to do anything on, which is quite contrasting compared to my keyholes, which I've had for like 8 months and have spawned 3 times and they won't do anything else. So I think it's probably a relatively decent argument of water conditions, as in what's coming into my building, how hard the water is and how hard the pH is, sort of well more suited for African cichlids as opposed to the likes of the keyholes and stuff like that. So
does that mean that we can expect you to pivot the fish room away from your boring fish into your more fun fish?
No, not at all.
That's boring.
No,
he'll just keep flogging a dead fish until he makes it work for the dumb fish.
A dead fish. I like that.
That's a new one. Do you like that one?
That's
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I like it. Flogging a dead fish. Oh, that is
comedy.
Good.
It's like me with my water pretty much coming out perfect for soft water fish out of the tap, and then trying everything I can to make it hard and alkaline and raise the GH. Yeah. Flogging a dead fish. Yeah, we could just swap.
You both live in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, so at least it won't be too much of a change for you guys.
I'll have you know, I can hear trucks driving past this morning. Thank you very much.
No, you can't. I don't believe it.
Tumbleweeds and horse carriages.
They're just clip-clopping along.
yeah. A truck is a big carriage to Cam. Carrying some hay off to the sales yard.
Have you heard anything interesting happening around?
I got a peace lady from Cam and stuck it in one of my tanks. And it looks cool. And it made the algae go away.
Good to hear. So that's like growing out the top of the tank, eh?
Yeah. And one of my tanks started leaking.
Oh, nice. Master tank filter?
So that's fun.
Which one's that?
It's like one of the one the glaucoma adults are in.
Oh, shit. That's not good.
No, it's not good at all. It hasn't been a catastrophic leak. It's just a drip leak. So it's only like 3/4. Drop the water level a little bit, but water's going everywhere, and I got to pull half the tanks out to fix it. So
that'll be fun. That sounds like a good time.
It's gonna be a fun time. Yeah.
So it sounds good.
Might just increase the water change frequency and keep it topped up. Water change onto the floor.
Yeah, man, just YOLO it.
No, I don't.
If you put a hole in the floor and it drains up to the garden, it's just set up as an automatic drain system.
Yeah, it's just like natural irrigation.
Yeah, just flushing the floor.
Yeah, man. Keeping it, it's like a Roomba, like automatic mopping.
The only problem is I put timber under that tank, and the timber gets pretty manky if it gets wet. But anyway, we'll deal with that.
Seems like a problem for later.
I will get in and fix it before the fish end up with no water.
Oh, that's probably smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've not had anything too exciting going on. I got some cool fish the other day, but like I got two big Texas, like adult sized Texas, but they sold like I literally had them for like half an hour, um,
Really?
until until they went. So that was fun, but I didn't really get to enjoy them, so that sucked.
Did you have someone in mind for them? Or did someone just walk in and go, "Yeah, I want them"?
Yeah, no, I had someone in mind who I called when I knew they were on the way,
Oh
and
yeah.
they were like, "Oh yeah, I'll come now." And so there was like a 30-minute gap between when they arrived and when the next person when the fish arrived and when the new owner arrived. So I didn't even put them in a tank. I just kept them in a bucket for half an hour. So I didn't really get a look, but they were really cool.
That's some
They're
good
such cool
business, man.
fish.
That's some good business. You're like you know,
Yeah, man.
a
Hey,
fish flipper. A fish flipper.
yeah,
Don't worry
man.
about property, man. Just start flipping fish,
Yeah, man. Well, that's the plan. And then what else did I get? Oh, I got some massive green severums, like the biggest green severums I've seen in my life. So that was pretty cool.
I saw them. They look
And
pretty cool. Are they going in with the
yeah,
Oscars?
nah, I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with them. I kind of want to keep them, but I should probably sell them. So
Do you reckon
I
they
don't
get
know.
along with Penny, or Penny just beat them up?
No, they'd be fine in there, but I don't know if I want to put severums in there because it's too dark. You won't really see them.
They are quite a
I
dark fish,
know.
aren't they?
I've got big Americans moving all over the place. I'm trying to figure out which way I want to put them all. So probably not good to add any to the mix.
And they do need big tanks, so
Yeah, exactly. Like these severums are massive. Like I got all my Oscars. I'm wanting to flip around and rearrange all the tanks and put some with Penny and then some where they are now and all this. And it's you know taking a long time to figure out.
Yeah, how many Oscars do you have in store? You've got quite a few, eh?
I think like 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, maybe 6. I don't know. Too many
Mm.
for a reasonable human, but they're
Because you
fine. I
got
love them.
the
So.
big Oscar tank, and then you've got one divided with in Penny's tank, hey?
Yeah, well, I think the plan is all the ones from the Oscar tank are going to go with Penny. Then the one that's in with Penny now is going to go in the other tank by himself. But then I also have like 6 big featherfin synodontists in with the Oscars as well.
Yeah, I
That
see
I want
them.
to
Yeah.
move them. I want to move them as well. But then I'm not sure. I kind of want to move them to Penny's tank and then move the common plecos out of Penny's tank to the Oscar tank. But then I don't know which one I want to keep the ghost knife in. So like I got
Mm.
fish moving all over the place and I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with them just yet.
The Oscar tank's probably a bit small for the complex, isn't it?
Long term, yes, but it'll be fine for now because they're not that big yet. They're only
Yeah,
like probably 25 centimeters now. So they'll be fine for now. And then I can move them back later. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's not, at least there's tanks available. I just got to figure out which one gets which tank.
You sound
Again,
like a fish hoarder.
Yeah, pretty much. That would be a good way of describing it.
And when the master plan happens down there, you'll have big tanks stacked too high as well. So you don't have plenty.
We're not telling people that yet. I need more
Okay.
money. That is very expensive plan, but it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe
it'll
we
be
can
cool.
do a podcast episode where I can talk about that plan because that'll be fun. But it will take like an hour. Yeah, but no, basically. So today for this episode, the discussion topic, we're going to be talking about different things you can do to take your display aquarium to the next level, like life hacks and tank hacks and like supercharges and all this kind of thing. So that's like the kind of the way I'm thinking of it is almost similar to what we do in the tanks we have for like our service tanks, where it's like you have this nice display aquarium, but it's what is a good idea to really like completely change it and like take it to that whole new level. So yeah, I mean it could be anything obviously. But yeah, I think so basically as a bit of a behind the scenes, We did a little bit of a surprise episode where I only told Cam and Ryan this was the topic, like maybe 2 minutes before we went on the air. So I'm gonna go gentle on them and let them have a, I'll go first so that they can sort of see what kind of things, I guess, is in my mind when I was saying this, and then they can go afterwards.
Cool.
So I think the number one thing for me is UV sterilizer. It just really takes everything to the next level. I know a lot of people have problems with it and stuff, but I mean, it is really, you can't beat it. It just basically, in case you're not aware, it's like this little thing. Well, I suppose it can be a big thing where the water goes through it, and then it goes into this little chamber area where the water gets blasted by this UV light essentially, and then what that does is it kills like algae and bacteria and stuff that is floating in the water. So it like blows them apart basically, and then it comes out the other side like crystal clear. So it's really good for just like making your water super crystal clear and keeping it that way.
Does it
Sometimes
does it do anything for clarity?
yes, I think it does.
How?
Because when you got like little bits of, it's like not so it keeps like, if you've got like a bit of green water or like a little bit of bacterial cloudiness or that, it just like kills it and gets rid of that.
No.
Because you'll find like if you use it, there's always like a little bit of a tinge or like something going on like that. But it really kills like every single little piece of the green water in that, and just takes it to that next level of clarity. And I mean, like we have service tanks where we put it on, and then it's like, you think it's pretty clear to start with, but then you put it on, and it's like, oh my god, you can't even see the water kind of thing. It's just like the fish is just like floating in this box. So yeah, I mean that's my number one thing. If you're really wanting to take your tank to the next level, that's my biggest suggestion. The only thing I'd say with it is you got to make sure you remember to change the bulbs, because the bulbs don't last forever. I think it depends on exactly the strength of them and everything, how often you have to change them. But generally, I mean, the general rule of thumb I do is just like you'll see when it stops kind of working as well, and then change it then essentially. So like maybe
6 to 12 months is usually thrown around, eh?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But I mean, I've got one that I've probably had for like 18 months that I haven't changed because it still seems to be doing the job. So, just figure it out. It's just I reckon my biggest thing is just scope it out, and you'll know when to change it when it all goes horribly wrong. So yeah, that's kind of my number one thing to take your tank to the next level of coolness, essentially. So yeah.
I've never used a UV before, and normally wouldn't recommend them because I don't think they're needed. But for a display tank, if you're trying to get it really clear, I'm thinking, should I put one on my big tank and see what it does? So
yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of the thing with everything here. Is it's like none of this is really needed. Like your tank will be fine without it, but it kind of makes that next. It takes it to that next level kind of coolness, I guess. So yeah.
Also, I guess with a display tank, if you can kill a bit of the algae and reduce your maintenance down, that's also a good thing as well. Because the display tank's usually big. I know my one's 900 deep, so if I can get a bit of the algae off the glass that I don't have to try and go swimming to try and clean it, that's good too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure UV will work on that. It's waterborne algae.
It's only waterborne stuff, so
yeah.
would it touch the stuff on the glass?
No, that's got to go through.
But what it does, I don't know exactly what type of algae you have, but what I quite often find is you get like the more like what do they call it? Filamentous algae, or like the ones with like the little stringy bits. And then what it does is it reduces the stuff that gets caught in the strings, because like if there's little bits of algae floating around, it like kills them before they get stuck in the string. So even the surface algae aren't as sort of visible because there's like less just junk caught in them, and then that means that it's like even if the algae is there, if you can't see it, no one really is going to care, you know.
And some of our algae are actually bacteria as well, aren't they? Bacteria based.
Yeah,
We call
like the
algae, but it's
cyanobacteria
actually
and that.
yeah. So if you can reduce a bit of that, that might be cool too. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get
Same
plenty of that
thing,
caught through it.
It's got to go
That's it.
through it, otherwise it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
But that's
I
the,
mean,
but the spores from that sort of thing will be floating around in the water before it's settled
Yeah.
on the ground, wouldn't it? So you would,
yeah,
I don't
and
know,
you'll
it's
get like
interesting to know
small
how to,
bits floating around in that.
yeah, if you get a bacterial load, yeah.
I had cyanide on one of my tanks in the shop when I'm running UV. It didn't spread to any other tank whatsoever, but it didn't eradicate it at all from that one tank. So I definitely contained it. Like without the UV, it would have been everywhere, but it didn't stop it by any stretch of the imagination. It kept growing in that tank because the bacteria itself was
Still chilling on the substrate,
just-
and the UV's not getting anywhere near it.
Yeah. So I had to physically manually remove that, and then I went with ultra clear in the end to get rid of it.
It probably would help keep on top of it a little bit more though, because like obviously as it's floating around within a tank, it'll settle on more stuff in that and then grow.
That's what he was
more
saying.
like
It didn't
outwards from
spread.
that.
It didn't get worse, but it didn't get better.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So even that would help because obviously in a display tank, if you have a problem, you want to kind of minimize it, I guess. So I mean, that's a bit of a win-win situation there.
Cool. Oh well,
So,
I
yeah.
think Cam Nelson might have some deals on some big UV units, don't you? So I'll have to talk to you about them for my display tank. You know, hey?
Maybe you will.
Mm.
Give that a
All
go.
right. So, who wants to go next? I don't mind.
I can go next. I've got some ideas.
Sure thing.
I'm thinking one thing I've seen on display tanks is like the stand and the hood and all that sort of stuff. Like you see some really cool tanks, but they're just like a glass box sitting on a bench, you know. And sometimes you see cool tanks without hoods, like rimless ones and stuff that have like plants growing out of them and all that sort of stuff, and that's real cool too. But if you don't have any of that to make the top look cool, I think it can just look unfinished unless it's like capped. You know, like I did some aluminium trim on a tank for Cam recently that just put some black trim around the top of it. You know, one of his clients' tanks, and it just finished it off nicely. Just made it look like, I guess, like a picture frame type thing. You know, like it's framed, like it's finished. It hides the ugly silicon joins and stuff on the top, even if they're done nicely. I think it just finishes it. You know, just.
Yeah, that's a really good call because you'll get even like little bits of algae and stuff growing in the bracing, and like, you know, you'll never keep it looking perfect. And I guess it probably makes it a bit more of like fits in with the furniture and that rather than kind of just being this random something different. Like quite often what we do for the clients is like just see what stuff is around the area where they want to put the tank and like kind of try and match the styles so it all fits together, but like obviously it's something different. So yeah, I think that's a really good call. And like you said, that
it makes me wonder where steel frame tanks have gone, because they were all framed up and looked like that, and they've just sort of disappeared and gone away.
I have no idea, but before my time, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're pretty
Oldies.
old school. I think I've only owned one of them.
I've only owned one as well. Yeah.
Damn, and
really
you're pretty old
thing.
too, so that's saying something.
Yeah.
Cleopatra type
the blacksmiths down in Nelson are probably still pumping them out, but you know, they're still fixing carriage wheels and that, so they haven't quite adapted to civilization and evolution and stuff, you know.
Too soon. But yeah, you did mention it before, but even just whacking those aluminium trims on the that was like down. So basically, like for the listeners, that was like on the tank was like just sitting on like a stand, like imagine just like a normal
It's just a coffee
innocuous
table
kind of
almost,
bench.
basically, almost a coffee
Yeah,
table. Yeah,
pretty much.
a higher,
Yeah.
slightly higher, but yeah.
Yeah, and then it had obviously like you got the polystyrene under the bottom of the tank, and then it's like then there's the glass, but so the trim on the bottom went like kind of blocked off so you couldn't see the polystyrene, so it looked like real sleek there. And then the same on the top, it come down the front down to like where the water level would start. So then it kind of like framed that all up, so it's like just the water is like hanging there basically in midair almost essentially, and then there's like you couldn't really see anything around it. And yeah, like that picture frame analogy is really good. I think it really made it look like just focusing on what's inside the tank rather than like the actual thing itself.
But just cleaned it up, a lot. And I've noticed that too when I had a really nice 6-foot tank, and someone had made this amazing stand for it and like spray painted it so it was like pristine and beautiful, but they never made a hood.
Yeah.
And it just never. It looked good, but it just never looked great because it didn't have a hood. You know, it just didn't look finished.
Yeah, just like something missing.
Yeah, it was like it. You know, you built a house but not put the roof on it type thing. You know, it was just looked like it was 95% there. But it I think if it had a hood, it would have been awesome. And my mate's got that, and he's probably listening to me right now, and he should build a hood for it. So you know.
Yeah. And it, I guess, hides the lights and all that as well, which is good.
Yeah.
In terms
just makes it look like it's yeah, because I guess the ideal thing is that all the filtration and all the dumb stuff that doesn't matter is hidden. You know?
Yeah. So you just focus on what's inside it.
Yeah, you just want to see the fish and the rocks or the plants and whatever else you're worried about if you're making if you're like an aquascaper or something. Unfortunately, I feel sorry for you, but if you're an aquascaper, you might want to see the plants, you know.
The fish food, as it's otherwise known to you, eh?
The fish food, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. What's your what would be your first suggestion, Cam?
I think Purigen's almost essential if you're doing a display tank.
Yep.
The way that works, it just makes water sparkly, which I think is in the display tank what people are generally speaking really looking for. So it's one of those products that people seem to think is snake oil until they use it and they go, holy heck, this is amazing, and away they go. So I find Purigen phenomenal.
So that's for like if people are unaware, it's just like a chemical filtration media that goes like you'd put it inside your filter and it just sucks up all the gunk essentially, all the gross stuff.
Yeah, it's just another layer of I don't know, magic, for lack of a better terms. Just takes all those extra impurities out, the colours, the odours. It just makes things sparkly, basically.
Yeah, it's like a supercharged activated carbon, eh?
Yeah. But the joy of it is you don't have to throw it out. You can recharge it, and you get half a dozen to a dozen regos on it as well. So it's not a short term thing either.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because it's not the most cheap thing in the world, but you know you can just reuse it and reuse it for ages basically. Obviously, I suppose depends on how dirty or like gross your tank is, on how much it needs to do for how long you can use it, but very basically
So
a lot is the.
What does it actually absorb? Does it absorbs the shit? Does it?
Not physical shit. It basically absorbs colors and smells and smaller organic things as well, if that makes sense.
So things like tannins and like when stuff smells weird and like even like I can't think of examples, but like stuff like that, like discoloring stuff and like smelly stuff and like random stuff like that, like all the bits of gunk.
Like leaves or algae and that kind of stuff. So it doesn't take mechanical; it just works chemically and draws everything into
that's what I was meaning. But how does it Okay, anyway, I've never used it before, and I've always thought it was just rubbish and just something that people are trying to sell you to make heaps of money.
Jeez, that doesn't
Skeptical,
surprise me.
man.
Something that you would say.
But again,
The product they do is just rubbish. Wow.
but again,
Never-
we are talking display tags. So adding, like, if you want it to be amazing, you can look at these extra things that are going to cost a little bit extra, but actually make it clear.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think
so-
also for a tank like for your tanks, Ryan, it's not going to do anything, to be honest, because there's algae on the glass and the
Yeah,
lights suck and everything. You won't be able
they're
to
not display
see.
tanks. But I was
Yeah,
thinking
exactly.
my big tank in the lounge that could benefit from something like that. It's actually got decent filtration. There's no crap floating around in it. And,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like,
It's more like more powerful activated carbon is kind of the easiest way to think of it, I suppose. And because it if you're using medications and that, it removes those when you're done with them and all that kind of thing.
It'll make that
So, yeah.
display tank will sparkle even more so.
because I just rely on filtration there. But
Look at all these things. We might have his wallet out soon. Oh my gosh.
Nah,
gotta wait.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Gotta get some decent lights for it first.
Oh, that's a good first step at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean that segues nicely into what I was gonna say for my next one, is good lights, proper good lights, makes such a difference. In my shop, if you see my cherry barb tank or my peacock and hap tank, they got pretty good lights on them, and it just makes such a difference because at the end of the day, you're looking at the fish. That's what sight is the main sense for enjoying a fish tank. So having a real good light that brings out more of the colors and is strong enough and bright enough and has a good enough spectrum and all this, just it's like night and day. I occasionally, when I'm juggling stuff around in the shop, you take a pretty average light off of a tank and put a good light on it, and it's night and day difference, the amount of sort of color and stuff that you can get out of your fish. So yeah, that's one that I think is really, really important. Just the only problem with it is obviously they are a bit more. Lights is going to be more expensive than a bag of Purigen or whatever. But definitely, if you're setting up a tank, maybe don't buy a light for an extra month and save up some more money, because it is night and day difference.
But lights are one of those things where you can. I mean, but they're not cheap. They're hundreds of dollars rather than tens of dollars, right? But
Yeah.
you can buy one for $2,000, or you can buy a good one for $300, right? Is that what I'm?
Oh yeah,
I'm
of
hearing?
course.
Yeah, you're saying they're really expensive, but you don't have to buy a $2,000 light to have a
I mean,
tank,
relative to Purigen and that kind of thing,
yeah,
they're more expensive. But if you're buying a 6-foot tank, they're gonna cost nothing compared to everything else. So it's all relative.
But you're still in the low hundreds, not in the thousands, right?
Well, I mean, you could be. You could spend $5,000 if you wanted to, but yeah, I mean, you don't need to spend a car payment's worth, but you could spend a bit more money than the $100 T5s fitting or whatever, and really it'll
$100 LEX cheap nasty LEDs off Trade Me, and they're okay, but they're not great.
Yeah, man. I mean, it lights up the tank, and that's fine.
But they also die very quickly as well. Half the LEDs no longer work and stuff. So, I mean, you do get what you pay for there.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and because you can even get them when they've got timers built in, and you can adjust the spectrums and what's the other thing you can always do that I can't remember? Oh, dimmers and stuff in them. And you can do cycles, so it's a day cycle, so it starts off real dim and then gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and then you get to midday and then it goes lower and lower and lower brightness. That one where it's you can really go down the lighting rabbit hole. But basically just getting a good light with good spectrum according to your fish and everything like that makes such a difference.
Especially if you're going to grow plants.
Oh yeah,
I don't know much about growing plants, but the lighting is pretty important, and having
yeah, man.
decent control of it too, to
Mhm.
basically balance the algae and the plant growth and all that sort of stuff. Because when the plants are still starting to grow and you're pouring ferts in there, you can just turn it into a algae machine until the plants start taking off. So you do need to cut
Yeah,
the light back and everything until things start taking.
yeah,
So
man.
you
Exactly.
being able to jump on your phone and have an app will be pretty cool, and just
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and even like you can just get them with like usually it's cheaper to like you just get them with like a remote control to play around with all the different stuff and that. You don't have to do it super crazy, but because I
mm,
find it's
mm.
something that like reefers and marine fish keepers talk about is like a lot is like the different lights that do different things. Like they bring out more purples in the fish or whatever, but like it's not really a thing for freshwater. It's like light is a light, you know. Just do it and it's fine. Just spend as little money as possible. But having a good light, like, on those cherry barbs in the shop makes such a big difference, I reckon. So yeah, I
Yep,
mean that's
yep.
my next one. Um
Lighting definitely important.
yeah, man,
Can't
for
do
sure.
can't do anything if you can't see the fish.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean
I've got
that's
another
my
one.
number one.
I got another one.
My
I got
next
another
one.
one.
So yeah, go Baldy.
Background,
Yep.
like the background color and whatever you're using is important. Like these fish behind me, because they don't have a decent light and they don't have the right color background, they look like black blobs, and they're actually
Mm,
bright red because they're a dark fish and I've got a dark background and not very much lighting. They just blend into the background and don't actually show up. So it's
yeah.
really important to figure out your background color. I mean, and what you're going to do. Some people use those aqua decor ones, which are real awesome, for certain tanks and
The
certain styles, or the
That's like
3D
the 3D
backgrounds.
ones, eh?
3D backgrounds, that sort of thing. You don't have to go aqua decor because you have to mortgage your house to afford it. But
Mm,
you can DIY, you can do whatever to have a cool background. Doesn't have to be a 3D one, but just look at the colors of your fish and what you're trying to achieve. I think I've usually gone for a blue now in most of my tanks, like a dark blue, which is quite cool. Most people go for black. I don't know what you guys use or what you use in a planted tank. It's not really my thing, but
I quite like black for most of the time because it gives,
mm,
particularly on like if the lighting is set up right, it like you kind of don't see the back of the tank and it kind of gives the illusion that it goes on forever. Um, Depends how you set it up, of course, but for Africans, like a darker or like a bluer kind of color, or like for plants, I like a black kind of one. And a lot of people use like a like a white kind of cloudy white type of texture on the back. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but people use it. People do green for to blend in with the plants and like make it look more lush. You do like a green of the similar tone of what the plants are. I mean, you can do whatever. You can do purple if you want, I suppose, but those are probably the most common choices for people. Um, how do you fix your backgrounds around? Like, what do you use to actually make that or like do that
I just
background?
paint the tank. I paint the tank with
Yeah,
test spots from Resin.
yeah,
Easy,
yeah. That's
but
probably the
a big
most
display
common
tank's
option.
just got a black one just taped on and it looks okay.
Yeah, just like one of those big.
Just
I
big
don't even
plastic
know what it
sheet.
is. It's like
Yeah,
yeah, kind of a sheet or whatever. But yeah,
yeah.
um,
You
does the job.
can buy all sorts. You can buy ones that are rocks and
Yeah, you
whatever
can buy
you
ones
want,
that have
basically.
like pictures on it as well, like those big plastic sheets that's got like a picture of like I don't know a river or like a coral reef or like anything you can think of. You can get like pictures if that's your thing as well.
I
So
saw
that
some
works well.
that had a gradient recently on Facebook. Like they started off quite dark at the bottom and they got quite light at the top, sort of simulating that as it gets higher in the water column in nature, it is lighter because of the light, and as it gets lower, it's darker. Which
I
I
think
thought
that's
was
an
interesting.
aquascaper thing.
It is, yeah. I don't want to get into that. Don't even
Yeah,
want to be associated with that sort of thing.
yeah. But yeah, I think that is quite a cool idea that I think more people should, should be more widespread. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure how you would do that, make that, I suppose, unless you're really good at painting. But yeah, that's definitely a cool thing to kind of think about, I suppose. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think for backgrounds, it's not necessarily just bung a black one on, bung a green one on, bung a blue one on, but actually do some research and actually have a look around and see what you think. It does depend on the depth of your tank. It depends on your lighting. It depends on what you're stocking. You know.
If you're doing like a real serious sort of tank that you're putting a lot of effort into, what I reckon is just like get a big, like even just like a big piece of paper and like paint onto that, and then just like hold it up for a couple of days behind, like just tape it on behind a couple of days, and then like then commit to like painting it on, because then you can like try a few different ones and like actually see like in the space where the tank is and like with your specific fish and like specific scape, which one makes what happen, and gives what kind of look. Because then you don't like, the last thing you want to do is like go paint this massive tank like black and then look at it and then be like, oh damn, I should have done blue. Like obviously that's gonna suck.
It's exactly the situation I am with the tank behind me. I didn't paint it black, it came to me black, but now I'm like, the mission to pull that out, scrape all the paint off it and repaint it, house the fish and everything, it's not happening.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's staying there. It's black. That's the end of it. I'll just have to put better lights on it to show the fish off more, rather than paint the background again. Yeah.
Or just shove an aqua decor in there or something.
Oh yeah, just drop $1,500 on the background. Yeah.
Bro, $1,500 is a massive underestimate on that. But
underestimate. Yeah. Okay. Well, the last time I looked at $1,500, I guess that was before shipping prices turned to $1,500 for them. So probably like
last time I looked
at
like a 4-foot one, it was like, I don't know, it was like $4,000 or something. Like insanity.
I mean, that's not much, but
Oh yeah, we get it. You're rich.
No. Yeah. No, I wish I'd just buy a new tank. If I had $4,000, I'd just buy a new tank.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Cam? What's your next display aquarium life hack?
I think building your stock accordingly is helpful. Like working on bottom dwellers, mid dwellers, and top dwellers. So all areas
not just throwing a bunch of random shit in there.
Yeah, so everything's you don't have empty spots and you don't have overfilled spots. I think that works balancing everything a lot better if you just sort of think about it pre-setting it up, which I know is harder than it sounds because everyone loves fish and that'll look good.
Gets overexcited, yeah.
I think kind of along the lines of a less is more sort of scenario. Just these are what you're going to have in it. That's what you're going to do, and away you go.
Yeah. Do you think you'd also want to think about like the different colors and like patterns and stuff and how those all kind of blend together? Like you don't want just a bunch of red fish and then, well, I mean, unless you do want that, but like it's good to make that decision rather than all of a sudden just realize you've got all fish the same color. Or the same,
absolutely.
All of them have stripes or whatever.
And I think with stocking, it's just thinking about stocking, right? Because I'm thinking in a display tank, it's probably going to be generally going to be big, right? And it's generally going to have things in it. So you don't want to be in there every other day pulling fish out that don't work or look ugly or whatever else. You wanted to put fish in that are just going to work and leave them alone. Let them chill and not stuff with your tank all the time. Especially if, like, I'm sorry for you, but if you're one of those planted tank peoples and you've got plants in there and stuff, you don't want to be trying to catch fish out of the plants because you just rip all the plants out and it's dumb.
Yeah.
Dumber than having plants to begin with.
When you're showing off your Anubias the other day, being the plant growing king.
Well, I'm just that's a new side for me. It's a new side for me. I'm going to hit the market hard with Anubis maximus.
You'll
have to bring it out one day and show it on the podcast.
Show it so everyone knows. Show it with words.
On the video, you'll have to go to YouTube to watch it, but we can see this giant Anubias. People are probably thinking it's like, the size of a human or something from the way we built it up.
It's not that big. But anyway.
That's what she said.
Oi, keep it PG.
Yeah, everyone can always do with a few extra inches of their Anubis.
Exactly.
You going to tell him off as well?
I was telling both of you off at the same time.
It's just the guy that busted out an F-bomb in the first 3 minutes.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, apologies for that, everyone. I don't remember that, so my bad. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so for my next one, this is something that I think always gets forgotten, is like the outside of the glass, like keeping that clean. Everyone's always like concerned about like algae and stuff on the inside and like scraping it. But then you go and look at the tank, there's like water spots and like fingerprints and like
kids'
streak marks
fingerprints
and
and half
everything.
their food all over it.
Exactly. Like there's just gunk on the front. So what I always reckon is like actually have a look at the outside of your tank and like clean it. Like you don't have to do anything crazy. Even just like get a cloth and like wipe it. Because like
spray
you
you
get
can use
dusty
glass
and stuff.
cleaner. You can use glass cleaner to
Yeah.
spray it on the rag first away from the tank and then wipe the tank with it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can use the API branded one that I sell. But
Or
actually,
you could not buy snake oil and use white vinegar and water.
No.
Whoa.
But I did see that. I don't know if that's true. So like the thing is that's supposed to be, everyone says that's white vinegar, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but I use white vinegar.
White vinegar works anyway. Alcohol works.
I have seen that about the API one, but it's blue, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. All I know is, yeah, but I don't know. Didn't think about it that hard. But because the thing with the reason, so like we use the API one for like all the clients in that, and it like if you like rub your hand, like run your fingers across it beforehand and then rub your fingers across it after, it like the API one seems to like leave this film, and then I've noticed it stops the dust and stuff settling on it so easily, and like it's almost like a protective film kind of feeling. I haven't really looked at that hard to know exactly what that is. You what?
You're drinking the Kool-Aid, mate. I don't think it works that well.
Well, I've just that's like, again, I haven't done any research on it. It's just what I've noticed, but I quite like it. But you don't need to use it. Just use like a cloth and just wipe off the, gunk, and it makes such a difference. Because everyone like
it leaves a protective layer on top, so maybe it's
exactly. That's what I've felt. That's what I've felt. I don't know what it is or whatever. Like there is something there. So
I'm trying to find the ingredients, but they don't tell me.
Yeah, exactly. It seems proprietary.
Well,
yeah.
Microfiber do a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I know there's other stores that use like soapy water and a like a window squeegee thing as well.
Yeah. Even just like a tiny little bit of water just to like dampen those water stains and stuff, and just like wipe it off, and then wipe it off with a dry towel, and then it'll just make such a difference. Because like everyone knows to scrape the algae off the front of the glass. That's pretty self-explanatory. But then I think people just forget about the other side of the glass also can get dirty as well. So
I just found in the data sheet, it says it's greater than 60% food grade silicon emulsion. Silicon, so it's got silicon in it. So that's what
that's probably what the film was.
That's what you're feeling. It's like a silicon, almost a silicon layer that's put on there. Then that will stop from water and other stuff from spotting on it.
Yeah. Well.
So there you go.
Told you so.
It's not just vinegar.
Back in another life, when I was making windows, we used to clean glass with methylated spirits, which works pretty well.
Yeah, I use IPA alcohol. So yeah.
Or if you want to go to another level, there's a product called Hyshine, which is used for cleaning mirrors.
Yep.
That makes stuff super sparkly, but it's just not cheap.
Yep. But I suppose if you're
worried about chemicals around tanks as well.
Oh, that's a whole bloody nother discussion,
Yeah.
but maybe that can be next week's topic because I have some opinions. But yeah, that's my what I was going to say is my next one. So I don't know who was next. I think it was Ryan, but he's not listening. So away you go, Cam, with your next one if you like.
Cool. So I'm going to lump two in together because they kind of work together. One is additional mechanical filtration to get rid of particles and general stuff that's floating around. Including that is extra flow, so it blows into the filter, and on top of that is, making sure you're doing water changes as well. So that I think they're all kind of working together as a general maintenance sort of thing. But yeah, additional
Just
flow,
get rid of the gunk.
bits and pieces, and no settling and that kind of stuff. So no point of water going through your filter and it's not picking up the particles. So you're adding extra filtration, extra mechanical to it, and flow helps blow it all through, and then you're just generally keeping your water itself in physically good condition helps as well.
I think flow is really underrated or not utilized enough. It just keeps everything moving to a point where it does get sucked up and disposed of by the filter. I think it's definitely underrated. Just chuck even like an air stone or something, but like a good power head or whatever will just keep all the gunk moving for you.
Yeah, and again, it's like lighting. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands on filtration, but you do need to have good filtration, actually thought out filtration. Figure out how
exactly.
am I gonna. Again, for a display tank, is a lot more needed than what's normal.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like even it doesn't have to be much. Like a thing of filter will cost like $5 and last you for ages. So it's not like it's horrifically expensive, but it is I think a good option.
Even adding a pre-filter can go a long way, whether it's one of those zero canister pre-filters or even a pre-filter on the intake or what have you, or just even loading up another filter if you got one hanging around just with mechanical filtration to keep drawing all the gunk out can go a long, long way.
Yeah, and makes a huge difference because like there's nothing worse than like looking at your tank and just finding that there's just little like particles just floating around means you can't properly see your fish. Clear water is something that everyone's kind of after, and just loading up on mechanical filtration just for like water polishing makes a big difference.
Also, if you ever go to take a photo of your tank or your fish and there's stuff floating around in it, even if it's not very much, that's all your camera will focus on every single time.
Oh yeah,
like your tank could be like 90% clear and look amazing, and then you go take a photo and all it focuses on is algae or whatever crap is little bits of crap that are floating between you and the fish you're trying to take a photo of, and it makes your tank look manky ass, and you're like,
exactly,
dumb, that sucks.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. So yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion and a very easy one for people to sort of make use of at home. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What's your next suggestion, Ryan?
I'm out of ideas. I'm running out of ideas. I guess I'm thinking like stuff in the tank. I'm not so good at that sort of thing either, but decor and that, like if you want to have, I mean, a display tank can be anything you want it to be. You can make a SpongeBob SquarePants display tank if you want to, and have like purple rocks and all that sort of stuff. Like it could be whatever you want it to be, but just like think it all through. Like how's this going to tie together? Are you going to do a biotype one? What does it look like in wherever you're going? What sort of rocks should you use? What colors? All that sort of stuff. Substrate. Yeah. What aim are you going for? Think it all through and plan it all before you start bunging stuff in, because sometimes it's harder to get that stuff out again once you put it in there.
100%.
Yeah, are you going to use sand substrate? Are you going to use gravel? Are you going to use black? Are you going to use brown or white? Or,
Yeah.
Are you going to go to Cam's shop and spend 2 hours looking at rocks and buy the right
Well,
rock for your tank.
It's special waterproof rocks.
The special
Yeah,
waterproof
man.
rocks. Yeah. I
The-
didn't even know. You got to get them off the ground. They're special. They're important.
Yeah, man. So yeah, what that's a good kind of just what goes in is thought out is the basic thing that you're thinking.
Yeah, have a bit
Even
of a
if it's
plan.
not.
Have a plan. Have a
Don't just bung stuff in and hope it looks good.
some people I've seen bloody put a bit of tape on the floor in their lounge or whatever, the size of the tank,
Yeah.
and then lay all the rocks out and stuff, and then look at it and move stuff around and sort of figure out, hey, I'm going to put this here, I'm going to put this there.
Getting an
made
action plan before you go there.
A mate of mine wanted to get some big massive logs going through the middle of his big tank, and then him and I went to the beach with a bunch of saws and spent half a day chopping up these big massive logs on the beach and dragging them up this massive hill, and filled up his trailer to bring all these rocks home. And then he laid them all out until he found the right ones and put them in his tank and stuff. So it was a big day. I definitely felt very old that day. Dragging these big logs up this bloody hill for his tank.
The things fish keepers do, eh?
Oh yeah, but you got some cool bits of wood though, so it's all right.
Can't complain.
No.
Yeah. Did you have any other suggestions, Cam?
Yeah, I think what you feed your fish is important as well.
Yep.
Your fish don't create their own color; they rely on whatever they're eating to get their color. So if you're really trying to get that extra pop, feeding some extra krill to red fish if you've got red fish, feeding some extra spirulina algae to green fish to try and get the green out of them, that kind of stuff will go a long way as well. Live generally make fish pop and sparkle.
Also, some foods are full of phosphate. Some foods are full of messy foods when you feed them, things like that. So you don't want to mank up your tank if you can help it. If you're trying to have this real pristine tank,
Yeah. I think it makes quite a big difference in just like the color and growth and like happiness in general of the fish, which in turn is going to make them look cooler, which in turn works better for a display tank. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. So for me, the next one I had as well was going to be a some sort of like surface skimmer or similar type of device. For a lot of tanks, it's it basically what it does is it like sucks the top layer of the water off, which is where a lot of tanks will get like this protein film, which is like kind of like looks like a little oily like layer on the top, which looks ugly. But I mean, also more than that, it's like if you get like dead leaves and stuff, they'll float to the top, and you'll get like bits of poo and like uneaten food and stuff stuck in the surface tension. So having something that sucks off the top layer and then like it basically shoots it to the filter just gives you a lot more like it's just like a little tidier of the tank, and it's just a lot better like picking up these little bits of rubbish and like killing this like surface film and all that. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's like you can get them either as like a standalone unit that just like suction cups to the glass and then just sucks through a little power head, or you can get one that'll attach to your canister filter outlet and it like goes directly on the inlet rather, and then it like sucks it through and then goes to the canister filter. So you can get either option depending on what you're after and what sort of setup you have. But I think having one of those makes quite a big difference as well. So yeah.
Alternatively, like an air stone or adjusting your filter outlet will break up the surface scum. It won't take away the leaves, obviously, but it'll break up that the protein buildup that can happen.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've never used one of that, but I've always got like this tank here. I added the air stone too because it was the top was getting a bit manky, so I just basically break all that up with air, dissolve it in the water, and then the filter and stuff picks it up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I mean, on your big tank as well, your other tank, because that's
it
got a
basically does that
sump.
because it's an overflow.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the overflow will suck it through as a
Mm.
skimmer basically into the.
Mm.
Then it goes into the drain that goes down to the sump. So that works out well as well. Like if you've got a sump, probably don't need to worry about it as much. But yeah,
It's just the pain.
definitely
It's
a
just the
food for thought.
pain when you feed the fish that all the food can go down there if it's floating too. So I turn the sump off when I'm feeding. You
Yeah,
know?
just got to remember to turn it back on.
No, mine's got a timer. It's got a
Oh yeah,
delay.
that
Just push
more
it,
fancy one, eh?
pauses for 10 minutes and then turns back on, so it's all good.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Throwing this wealth around again, mate.
Yeah, man, we get it.
It's all built into the tank.
But yeah,
15
that rich guys, eh? But yeah, I mean do be careful with floating food. That is a good point. But otherwise, like if you're feeding flakes so that you can just put it under the water so it breaks the surface tension and it'll sink, and then you can get sinking pellets and stuff that'll just go down and you don't have to worry about it as well. But yeah, I mean that's a sort of easier fix, I think, for that kind of thing. So yeah.
Nice.
Is anyone else got any other suggestions or ideas?
I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of an impromptu subject that I hadn't actually thought about before because I don't really do display tanks, so you know.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of talk about, because I think a lot of the people that listen, obviously, if you guys are listening and I'm wrong, please tell me. But a lot of the people aren't as like fish roomy kind of crazy fish people with like 30 tanks where no one cares what they look like. It's a lot more like a few tanks around a house to look nice. So I think these kind of things hopefully can give some people some ideas on what, not even necessarily what to do, but maybe what to look at or like what to consider to make that tank a bit more sort of fancy or a little bit more like next level. And I think it's good with.
So there's nothing worse than going into someone's house, like, and them having like a 4 or 5 foot tank or something, and it just looks real manky, like it doesn't look cool, and you're like, it's, I don't know, to me, if you've got a aquarium in your lounge, it should be cool, like it should be part of the
pretty spiffy, yeah.
It should look awesome, like, my tank's not a display tank as such, but it looks cool, it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
So
for you, it's like the fish do the talking at least, but obviously not everyone is keeping big fish. Like even small fish need to have that sort of zhuzhing up.
You go there and there's this dark thing with no lighting, algae all over the glass, the water's 3/4 full, and you're like, why are you even bothering? Like, like it's those people probably aren't listening to the podcast though, so they probably.
But to that point, it's each to their own, and that still might be the crown jewel in their house, and they might be proud of it. So
if they're enjoying it, then they're enjoying it, and who am I to judge? But I do think it could be a lot cooler, and they might enjoy it a bit more if they could actually see in there.
Yeah,
they might be going for something. Some people like to put tea bags in their fish tanks and make the water brown, and that's cool for them,
Yeah, whatever gives people the most enjoyment out of the tank. But yeah, I mean, I suppose this is more for people who are trying to get that like super fancy, pristine looking tank, but might need some ideas on how to actually get there. Hopefully, we've given some good options to those people. And if you're listening and you're thinking, I can't believe they forgot about this very obvious thing. We are 3 idiots, so it makes sense that we've missed stuff. So
I think also
please let us know.
The position of the tank is important too for a display tank as well.
Yep.
You don't want to stick like this big massive 8-foot tank in front of a window and then just fight this horrible green mess for your whole life. Because it will not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It will not be a fun fish tank experience for you. No matter UV or anything will stop the green that the sun will cause.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, think about that too, where you're going to put it.
Yep, yeah, yeah. So I guess kind of a general theme that we've had through this whole discussion is like be more sort of intentional rather than incidental with what you do with a display tank. And I suppose the like thinking about where it goes and like what you put in it and like what sort of equipment you use and all this is going to go a long way to kind of making it a really sort of big crown jewel type of thing rather than a bit of a hodgepodge that doesn't particularly look like anything. So yeah, that's quite a good theme.
It doesn't take an awful lot to keep fish alive in terms of filtration and heating and stuff. Like you can do it very basic, but there'll be a tank that the fish will do well in, but it won't look as cool. So as we're talking about that next level sort of thing, some of these things you can look at to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
To be that next level.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't think I have any more to add to this discussion, unfortunately.
What about you? What are you, big boy? No, happy?
I think we've covered most points for an impromptu topic.
Yep. Yeah, and if we didn't, let us know, and we'll make a follow up on all the things we got wrong.
We'll definitely repeat it. Oh yeah.
It did make it quite fun not knowing what we were going to do and just being put on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, well, maybe we can do that as like a regular thing. Is like every now and then someone just gets assigned a random to decide a random topic, and we just have to wing it. So
yeah,
sounds good. Means we don't have to do as much prep, so I'm not complaining.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done any prep for any of these yet, so that's just me. You know? Suits me well. I think it shows. Anyway. So, well, thanks for listening to us. If you are still listening to us, I don't know if many are at this point, but we are the three idiots. Cam down there, just discovering power and the wonders of technology. Cam up here, just being young and dumb and doing whatever young people do these days. We don't know because we're too old.
Using what words?
What's that?
Using words?
Using words that Cam doesn't. That old man Cam doesn't understand because he's still saying hear ye, you know, and, pain and threepence and pennies and stuff down there, you know. So good. We'll talk to you next time. We don't even have a subject again for next time, so that'll be another mystery topic for everyone. We agreed we were going to assign a topic so that we could get a bit of hype for it on at every episode, but we haven't done that once, I think. So the merch is coming along well too. So talk to Cam, it's looking amazing. So I don't know if we've actually had anyone ask for merch or sold anything yet, but one day we'll have some. So. All right, talk to you guys later.
All right, see you later.